So Ravens flock, we got some big developments today. Lamar Jackson and DeAndre Hopkins just sent a major message to the Ravens flock, but we'll get to that later. The first things first is it is day one of mandatory minicamp. It's exciting to see a bunch of people get back in the building. We already had a high turnout during OTAs, but still to see these guys come back for minicamp, it's exciting. Like we still got a ways to go before the season starts, but it's still nice to see everybody pop out. You've seen Lamar, you've seen Justice Hill, Pat Ricard, DeAndre Hopkins, Marlon Humphrey, as well as other people like Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, many, pretty much everybody you would want to see there. They were there, obviously. We also had media day yesterday. It was cool to see some of the clips that have come out so far. I did like that picture. That I like the background in the picture that Lamar was in, where it had like kind of like that 90s theme, like how people in the 90s used to have their bedroom lined up with all of them posters. I thought that was pretty cool. But as far as the mini camp is concerned, there's not a whole lot that we're gonna see just yet because it's only day one. But still, everything that you would want to see. You see Lamar handed the ball off to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry still looks like he's that guy. You see also Lamar handing the ball off to Keaton Mitchell, which I'm still curious how they're gonna work Keaton Mitchell into the offense because it'll be ridiculous if we go into another year and Keaton Mitchell is not a big part of the offense and he's only a part of special teams. We all know that Keaton Mitchell's lightning in a bottle. So I would imagine they're trying to figure out when they're going to get him more involved. And also last year, Keaton was coming off of a major injury. So he really wasn't even all the way there from a health standpoint. Now you're seeing him talk about how he's hitting upwards of 22 miles an hour. So I'm excited to see what else comes from that as the year goes on, especially once we get closer and closer to preseason. We also saw Lamar hit Justice Hill on a wheel route. I want to say it's undefeated, even though technically it was defeated last year against the Steelers. But outside of that, it's almost automatic. I like seeing that combination. Justice Hill still is an unsung hero. We also saw Marlon Humphrey run a few drills. But then, to me, I don't want to see. I hate to be one of those fans that says this year feels different because that's pretty much what we're gonna say every year. We're gonna say every year that it feels different. However, it does feel a little more optimistic. It feels everybody looks looser. Things look like it. The vibes are clearly high. I guess is the best way to say it without getting too ahead of myself. And you even see that in Lamar Jackson's interview during his press conference. There was a press conference where several people spoke, such as T. Martin, but mainly the thing that caught most people's attention was DeAndre Hopkins and Lamar Jackson speaking. Lamar, again, I've never seen Lamar look this happy and carefree and excited and just at ease. Like he was just, it seemed like he was pretty much at peace, which is cool to see, obviously. You want to see him more relaxed than ever, especially with him still having the drive to get to a Super Bowl. He talked about several things, such as him having to develop into a more vocal leader. He talked about how it was, on one hand, it was just kind of naturally the natural progression, but on the other hand, he recognizes that he's at a point now where he's going into his 8th season, and some of the rookies coming in, these are guys several years younger than him who at this stage in their career, they're going to look at him as the veteran who's like kind of like at that unk stage of his career now, because some of these guys getting drafted, they were in like what, like middle school when Lamar was tearing up Louisville. So to them, it probably is surreal to be teammates with them. He also talked about Mark Andrews. Like he made it a point to defend Mark Andrews because he feels like Mark Andrews received a lot of hate in this offseason. I disagree with that. I don't think people, now there are people who have critiqued Mark, myself included, but it's outside of Ravens fans, there's really not that many people talking about Mark Andrews like that. So I don't know. Hey, I just disagree with this stance that Lamar has because obviously he's riding for his guy, and I respect the leadership that comes with that because he's basically protecting one of his guys. and choosing to take all the blame for what went wrong in the Buffalo Bills game in the divisional round. And but still, like I've been saying for since the Bills game happened, like I've been saying, my biggest issue, even though I like Mark, the issue that I continuously have is the fact that after that disastrous situation happened, Mark Andrews went into hiding. To me, that's always gonna like that's just not gonna sit well with me. The fact that like you're supposed to be a captain, like we in our team's history, we were never a team that had those captain patches. We finally do that captain patch stuff. You're one of the captains. You have a disastrous moment, and then you just went into hiding. I don't again. I do not care for that. Point. That's just really the end of the story. I don't care for that. I still like Mark, but I can't let that go because that to me that spoke too many volumes for me to just let it go because Lamar says people are being too mean to Mark. But also, Lamar talked about the respect that he had for DeAndre Hopkins and how he even went as far as to call him like a super veteran, but he said it in a complimentary sense, like just saying that everything DHop did was smooth, even some of the awkward catches he was making with like one arm where Lamar thought he was gonna need his other arm to bounce back off the ground and he didn't even need it. So it's exciting to see D-Hop and Lamar develop some chemistry. Speaking of DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop also spoke himself at the press conference. He talked about mainly fitting into the team, what it's like to be a part of a team like Baltimore, being a part of a team that is trying to build chemistry and trying to hang out outside of the field because he believes that that gives you a better chance of being more in sync when you're on the field, which I agree with. Lamar also talked about that too, like going out of their way to hang out in the off season to give themselves more, just to give themselves more chemistry. Also, DeAndre Hopkins talked about Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman and how it's going to be nice for him to be playing alongside these two receivers that he thinks are really good. And he also implied that he's more than willing to lead by example or to, if they have any questions, to be there for them and try to show him whatever he could possibly show him at this stage of his career, being the elder statesman in the room. He also discussed Lamar Jackson, not too much because in his own words, he didn't want to he didn't want to go above and beyond to campaign for Lamar because everybody, in his own words, everybody knows how elite Lamar is, which makes sense, right? Because at this point, there's not a whole lot he could say. And even if he tried to, it might sound like he's brown nosing Lamar a bit just to get more targets. So he kept it respectful, which is cool. Either way, I'm excited about what we're seeing so far. Let me know, are you excited about what we've seen in minicamp so far on day one? And also, were you excited with Lamar's energy in this press conference? And were you excited that there's reports that him and D-Hop are developing this much chemistry this early?